So, good evening. The hour of 6 p.m. has arrived. I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. Meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted on the website by the end of the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. Copies of the printed agenda are available in the wall pockets just as you enter the meeting room. The public, wherever they are, and other city councilors will be recognized to ask questions and make comments on an agenda item under discussion. After being recognized, all the remarks are to be made through the chair, but not recognize an individual a second time until everyone who wishes has had a chance to speak. Anyone who wishes to address the committee is asked to go to one of the microphones in the room and identify themselves by name and address prior to speaking. Written comments from the public will be accepted at the city clerk's office until Tuesday at 1 p.m. Looks like we've got a quorum, so item number 1, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Jason Martin, the Fire Chief in Keene. I have 2 items that I'm going to bring before you tonight. They're both grants, so I'm going to be asking for your consideration of a recommendation for the city manager to accept these grants. The first one is a state of New Hampshire Homeland Security grant for 2025, specifically for critical care equipment in the amount of $57,118. This grant is for critical care. This grant for critical care equipment will allow Keene Fire Department to purchase specialized EMS equipment. This will allow KFD paramedics to provide expanded medical treatment with ultrasound technology and whole blood products. There is no match component to this grant, and if completed and returned and accepted by the City Council, all it needs to do is go to the Department of Safety's Business Office for Governor and Executive Council approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any about grant number 1.
Questions, members of the committee? Seeing no public. Motion, please.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and expend the 2025 Homeland Security Grant Program Award Critical Care Equipment in the amount of $57,118.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? No one's opposed, unanimous. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next item is another grant. That's a New Hampshire Homeland Security grant for hazardous materials allocation. This grant will be used for buying hazardous materials equipment and training to go along with some of that new equipment. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions here? Your turn.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept and expend the 2025 Homeland Security Grant Program Award Hazardous Materials Allocation in the amount of $23,128.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. The city engineer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, councilors. This next agenda item is a project that's long overdue to go to engineering. In 2017, the city hired an engineering company to perform an assessment of the structural conditions of City Hall. As part of that study, inspections were performed in March 2017, and the results of those inspections identified significant deficiencies and recommendations and preliminary corrective action, not full design, but a lot of concerns with City Hall and the structural state of that. In 2022, the city hired Du Bois King to perform an assessment of the current condition and developed contract documents for construction for some of those repairs and for the abandonment of an existing drain that runs under City Hall in an effort to improve the structural integrity of City Hall. In 23 and 24, some of those recommendations were performed, but a vast majority still are unrepaired as part of City Hall. So what the engineering division did was we put out for requests for proposals for engineering services for the basically an update of the structural assessment, a development of contract documents for construction for the repairs, and we're looking basically to bid those construction repairs by early next year. That's the anticipated schedule for the project. Only one engineering firm submitted for this. We negotiated their fee down from $158,000 to $130,000 roughly, and mutually agreed upon that scope, fee, and contract schedule for the project. With that, I'd happily take any questions related to this project and these engineering services.
Questions here? So this engineering plan, would this be to make all the repairs, or are we still just doing it in phases?
So there was phase A that was the immediate needs. There's phase B, still urgent, but not immediate and not long-term. And then there's the phase C, which will be the next phase of this. This will cover a majority of the repairs, but it won't necessarily cover everything.
This is a significant issue for us, isn't it? I recall when I first came to Keene in 1987, the city manager had a little line on that back wall, just watching it sink and sink and sink. But we've certainly cleaned up some of the outside water influence on this problem, as I understand it, correct?
Correct, yes.
Anybody else? Hi. Well, it's your motion if you want.
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to execute an agreement with Michael Petrovich Architects PLLC for the design.
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
I got to do it all over again. Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to execute an agreement with Michael Petrovich Architects PLLC for the design of the City Hall Structural Repair Project 65J0002B for an amount not to exceed $130,000.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you. Your next agenda item, we're going back to grant acceptance, which I always enjoy bringing to the committee. The city manager during the last council meeting spoke about a grant that the city was notified that they were, I guess, selected for, shortlisted for. We have to meet some conditions to be able to accept it, one of which being city council approval and acceptance of the grant. So the city back in May performed an inspection of the Ishwellet River Rail Trail Bridge over the Ishwellet River. Its condition determined scope of work that needed to be done to rehabilitate the bridge and came up with a preliminary cost estimate for those services. We have an engineer on board to draft up the plans and perform the rehab. The plan is to perform it next year, and essentially, right now, we're looking to get approval from council to accept this $100,000 grant. There's a 20% city match, which likely will be paid half by Keene State and half by the city. Those details are still being worked out. But all in all, it's a great grant opportunity and an opportunity to repair pedestrian bridges, much in need of being repaired. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Okay. Back to you. Motion.
Okay. Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to execute and expend a grant agreement with the Recreation Trails Program for engineering services and the construction phase of the Ashwell Rail Trail Bridge Rehabilitation Project, 65J0022A.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, members of the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you. I'm just realizing I never introduced myself. I apologize. For the record, Brian Ruff, City Engineer. Your next agenda item deals with getting the downtown infrastructure improvement projects and associated funding lined up for construction. The city allocated in fiscal year '24 and '25 traffic signal cost built into the CIP. Based on the bid results of the Island Street reconstruction and the engineer's opinion of probable construction costs, it's likely that the costs that we've already allocated for the traffic signal improvements as part of the downtown project aren't enough to cover the costs that will be realized. We won't know that until after we open bids in mid-December, but at this point, we want to have things lined up and ready to go, and make sure that we have all funding in place for that. So essentially what we're proposing here is a deviation from the capital improvements plan where we're going to take, reallocate the funds that were allocated for the Ashbrook Road at Ashbrook Court traffic signal repair cost and use that for the downtown infrastructure improvement project. We would then, as part of the CIP updates, rebuild that cost into fiscal year 30 as part of the updates to this next coming CIP. So we would put it back in, but we would take that money to pay for the downtown project, if that makes sense. With that, be happy to answer any questions relative to that.
Questions? Okay. Who's first?
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to reallocate CIP FY26 allocated funds in the traffic signal replacement program 75M012 to the downtown infrastructure improvements project.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion, committee? Okay, so all in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you. Your next agenda item is similar, but I'm going to start off by apologizing. Put the cart before the horse on this one. So essentially, I was asking to reallocate planned fiscal year '27 CIP funds in the stormwater improvements project for the downtown infrastructure project from the Court Street drain improvement project. Similarly, we would add it back into the fiscal year 30 plan, but since these funds haven't been allocated, I can't officially ask for that. So what I'm going to ask to do is withdraw this requested motion and just accept this as informational, that that's the plan. Depending on the results of the bid, we would utilize those fiscal year 27 stormwater improvement funds that are allocated for the Court Street improvements for the downtown projects, depending where the bid prices come in, if that makes sense.
Okay, yes, sir.
So when I make the motion here in number 6 is correct, or do I just see to be accepted as informational?
I would certainly defer to the deputy city manager and city attorney. My thought was you just accept it as informational, but defer to their opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's correct, just accept as informational, and I want to make sure everybody understands that what will happen here is we're preparing the next CIP now, which will include FY 27 and 28, as well as the 7-year projection. So both of these items will be contemplated in that plan, and you'll have the opportunity to review and comment and make changes when we do that.
Because it was just confusing. You was talking about accepting it as informational, and the motion, it says accept as informational. So that's why I wanted to know, do I do this motion, or I just say accept it as informational?
It's just accept as informational.
Move to accept the following as informational.
Second.
Okay, moved and second. Further discussion? You all good? All in favor? It's unanimous.
Thank you. Your next agenda item deals with the funding for the George Street Bridge improvements projects. We opened bids last week for the George Street Bridge replacement and improvements project. We were I want to say roughly 100,000 over the engineer's estimate, so close. Some of the price increases, I think, reflect, the difference between a local firm versus a more remote Massachusetts firm, and those cost differences for a Massachusetts firm. I still think it's a very reputable firm, and I think they're worth hiring. We currently have a request to New Hampshire DOT to award the project based on the bid results. And essentially what we're asking for in this is to use some unused allocated CIP funds for the road rehab project and put it towards the George Street Bridge project, so we're not pulling additional money for that. With that said, there's about $1 million in unallocated, unencumbered, unused road rehab funds. We'll look to expand the scope of the road rehab project with areas that are maybe either scheduled further out or not in the CIP schedule that need immediate attention from year to year based on a spring assessment is the idea. But not to confuse the point of the agenda item, I apologize. The purpose of the motion is or the request is to ask to use some of the unallocated funds from the road rehab project program to fund the George Street Bridge project. With that, we'd meet the city match and can award all the contracts for construction.
Questions? Motion?
Move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to reallocate unspent allocated program funds in the amount of $150,000 from the Road Preservations and Rehabilitation Program, 75M as in Mother, 002, to the George Street Bridge Replacement Project, 75M 0020A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you. So do you have a little calendar that's going backwards now? Are you in that mode?
I'm not really good with calendars. Good evening, Assistant City Manager, HR Director Beth Fox. I am here this evening with a few requests to amend a couple of the city's ordinances, but before I begin, it is with great pleasure that I introduce you to the city's new HR Director, Darcy Newport. Darcy started with us yesterday, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity for her to see our process at work tonight.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
We're very happy to have her. She is, I think, settled in. We got her technology up and running,
Yes.
and everyone's been taking, I think, very good
Everyone's
care
been
with her.
wonderful.
And she won't remember anybody's names, but she has met a ton of people. So the business at hand this evening, I am here with two proposed updates to the city's class allocation ordinance. The first one is an update to section 62-166, which is generally what I would consider a housekeeping update, is part of the ASME contract, which was approved after we had submitted the class allocation ordinance as part of the budget cycle. Some new job titles were established. While we, to fill these positions in the first instance, did not need the job titles to be on the probationary scale, it seems prudent to make the adjustments and add them at this time so that in the future they're recognized and don't get forgotten or missed. So there are three new job titles that we're looking to add to the probationary public works schedule. The first one is a water meter and backflow specialist. The second is a water sewer senior equipment operator, and the third is a water meter and backflow foreman. We are also deleting a job title, which is the water meter technician job title. None of these job title changes added positions to the department structure, but they just changed some duties, responsibilities, and clarified some of the position scopes. So those changes are, will move us to conformance, and next year when the ordinance comes forward, we'll be in good shape to update it. The second section of the ordinance to be updated is section 62-194, which is the section that applies to non-union personnel. There are two changes proposed to deal, in part to deal with recruitments which have been ongoing and a little problematic. The first change proposed is to will eliminate a existing civil engineer position and create a new position entitled Assistant City Engineer. This position will require a PE, which our current civil engineer positions do not, but we need that skill set in greater depth in the department. It will also establish for that division a clearer who's in charge if the city engineer, for some reason, is not available. Reduce the likelihood that everything has to, default back to the city's public works director, which I was surprised that he was good with that. But also add a little bit, change the supervisory structure within the department, because this position will have one of the regular employees that reports to it and the contract employees that help us with summer inspections or seasonal inspections. They're not just summer, report to it as well. So that's the first change. We're proposing to basically eliminate an S-18 position in the organization, still have the job title because we have people in it, but add a S-22 Assistant City Engineer. The second change is to eliminate the existing job title of Assistant City Attorney, regrade the position. We've updated the job description, made significant adjustments that I think really do clarify its responsibilities, and then regrade that position to an S-24 and entitle it a Deputy City Attorney. As part of looking at why we were maybe not attracting the right candidates for this position, we looked at the organizations of similar sized cities and found that more generally the assistant city attorney role is a deputy city attorney, and we think that will help position us in the market better to get qualified candidates. These two changes, there's funding in the budget, existing budget to support them. There will be an impact on future year budgets because the positions that are being eliminated are positions that are currently at a lower pay grade.
Okay, questions here? Annualized cost?
Hold on. The annualized cost of both changes is approximately $39,000. The impact this year will be significantly less because these are both vacant currently.
Right. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
39,000 each?
No, in total,
In
for
total,
both
okay.
positions.
I was curious you asked one of the questions I was going to ask. The second question I was going to ask is, throughout the ordinance, it has no positions assigned. Is that like a placeholder?
Yes.
So like you might come up with a new position or something and?
Well, actually, that's a good example because the S-22 was a no positions assigned, and it is now going to be an assistant city engineer, so.
So this is just to sort of accommodate future growth?
Yes,
Thank you.
it's the structure of the schedule.
Anything else? Whose motion?
Maybe me. I'll take it. Move to recommend the adoption of ordinance 2025-32.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.